weather's gonna be like today?
Yeah, I do.
We're studying weather.
Yeah. The the temperature on the thermometer right now is going to be about 20 degrees Celsius. That's about 68 Fahrenheit. You know, we got a slideshow we were just going to use for this.
Oh yeah, we can show them the slideshow.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
Okay.
Yeah, here. Yeah. Turn on the projector for us. All right, good. All right, and
Oh, wait.
I got the clicker. Yeah. There we go. Okay, good.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Come and sit down.
So let me explain what the temperature is. When they say this is the temperature, let's talk about what that means. So this is a thermometer. It's made out of a clear glass tube filled with a red liquid. It's a tool used for measuring temperature. When that liquid shrinks, it's because it's cold outside. That gives us a lower number. When it gets hot out, the liquid expands, and that's what makes it fill up more of the tube and give us a higher number. Fun fact, that red liquid is not actually mercury. No, that's a red dyed alcohol instead of mercury. On one side of the thermometer you might see a scale that's for Celsius. On the other side it might be in Fahrenheit. We use Celsius in most of the world, but Fahrenheit we use in the United States. So if you read across, it might read 20 on one side, 20 Celsius. That's equal to 68 degrees Fahrenheit.
Aside from the United States using Fahrenheit, the only other countries using it are the Bahamas, Belize, the Cayman Islands, and Palau. Wherever Palau is, I don't know.
You know, one time I was in Niagara Falls and I was listening to the radio station and they had to report the temperatures in both Celsius and Fahrenheit because over in Canada they were using Celsius and in the United States we were using Fahrenheit. And so they talked about it being 16 degrees Celsius in one side of the town and 61 degrees Fahrenheit on the other side. Still the same temperature though, of course.
Oh, and I bet that you're wondering if it's going to be sunny or not, or if it's going to be cloudy, so we can explain that too. I'm going to tell you about cloud cover. Cloud cover is a measure of how clear the sky will be. Now on the news, I bet you've heard about partly sunny and partly cloudy. But which one means more sun? It's actually the opposite that you might think. When we say partly cloudy, we mean that there's more sun and just a few clouds. And when we say partly sunny, we mean there's more clouds and just a little bit of sun. Here's an image of clouds above the United States. The way that we obtain this image is with a satellite orbiting the Earth. Here is the satellite, or an example of one. The way it works is the satellite is going to take pictures way up above, like this, and then create what we call a visible image of the clouds. And below it, we've superimposed the outline of the United States. There are other ways to obtain images of clouds as well.
That's right. In sixth grade, the students learn about light waves being in different frequencies. If we used waves that were longer than red, we'd get an infrared image like this.
Or you can actually get a picture of water vapor, which is the amount of moisture in the atmosphere. So there's many ways to actually view clouds in our atmosphere.
Now, I know if you're thinking like me, you're worried about the wind and whether your hair gets messed up. I bet you're having problems with that. So let's talk about the wind. Winds today are out of the southwest at 12 miles per hour. That's been measured on an anemometer. That's a tool for measuring the speed and direction of the wind. On one side is a set of cups that spin in the wind. This measures the wind speed in miles per hour, while on the other side of the anemometer is a wind vane that points in the direction the wind is coming from. That reports it as a compass direction in the direction that the wind is coming from, not where it's going to.
Wind can make the temperature feel a lot colder than it is. When wind passes over your skin, it evaporates moisture, which takes away thermal energy from your body, so it feels a lot colder than it is.
Yeah, you could notice that the wind does affect the way we perceive temperature quite a bit. If it's windy out, it also seems to feel cold, especially on cold days. That's the reason why we have wind chill. Wind chill is the perceived decrease in air temperature felt by the body on exposed skin due to the flow of air. For example, if you look at this wind chill chart, if we had a temperature that was -5 and a wind speed of 30 miles per hour, it would actually feel more like it was -33 outside. That's cold enough to close school.
Wouldn't it be neat, Mr. Bussey, if school closed? Oh, and humidity. This is one of my favorite parts to talk about weather. It determines if you have a good hair day or not. Now I'm going to tell you about humidity. Humidity is the amount of water vapor in the air. So think about a glass sitting in a room temperature place, like about 70 degrees. If we increase the temperature, some of that water is going to evaporate or change from a liquid to a gas. And that gas is water vapor that's mixed in with the regular air. Now if we lower the temperature, some of that water vapor that's in the air will touch the cold glass and condense.
That's why it might dew on a cool night.
And the lower the temperature, the less water vapor can be held in the air. So that's why in the winter you might notice that it feels very dry. You have to use a humidifier in your home or use more lotion on your skin. The opposite is true in the summer. In the summer in Chicago, because the temperature is higher, it can hold more water vapor.
Now you might be wondering, Mr. Bussey, why it might be very dry feeling in the desert even though it's really hot. I'll let you just think about that one.
Now, just like there's a wind chill table to figure out how wind can influence how the temperature feels, there's actually a heat index table too. Because the higher the humidity, as you would see, and the more we increase the temperature, the higher the temperature it might feel relatively than the actual temperature. Just think about in Chicago when it's a warm, humid day compared to the dry heat of the desert. It feels a lot hotter when we have high humidity.
Isn't that great, Mr. Bussey? And I bet you're really wondering whether you need an umbrella. We're not expecting any rain today, but if we were, we'd measure it with a rain gauge. That's a tool for measuring the amount of precipitation. Yeah, when I say precipitation, I mean rain, snow, sleet, or hail, all that falls to the ground. When the rain falls, it falls into the rain gauge, collects up there, and we can measure in inches or centimeters how much rain fell that day.
I bet you're wondering how they get those colorful maps about rain on the news and weather maps.
Of course, we can also look at the rain by looking at the radar. Radar works from installations that look like this. At that radar installation, radio waves are sent out from the radar station. They bounce back off the rain droplets, and that helps the computer put together a map. The map shows us different colors of intensity. Red here shows us highly intense rain, while green might mean a lighter rain. Purple and blue might mean snow.
Did we answer your question?
All I really wanted to know is whether or not I should wear a jacket.
I mean, I think so. Yeah, you need a jacket.
Sure.